I do have a question first, and I want to get back to the memo and Nunes and all that later, but I do have a question because you were interviewed by the January 6th committee. I know you probably can't talk a whole lot about what was said, or if you can, we'd love to break that story. But I know you can't talk a lot about it. But what was the vibe? You know, kind of like what Vince asked you before. What was the vibe? Was it accusatory? Was it kind of icy? Was it just kind of a fact-finding mission? Did you feel you were treated well by the committee? How did that all kind of shape?
No, those are great questions. I can answer some of them. And I've been asking the committee to release my transcript basically every day since I gave testimony for 6 hours under oath. And hopefully they'll do that someday. And my very expensive lawyers are like, be careful of what you say on media. But what I can say is what I said before I went in to testify.
Well, don't worry, we don't have that many viewers, but
yeah, no.
Maybe after this show.
So, what I did was I said, look, as a government official, it's your duty to go testify before Congress when called upon when they want to talk about actions that occurred under your watch. And at the time I was chief of staff of the Defense Department. It was a pretty big job and I took that seriously. And I think our actions on January 6th, we wanted the public to know that. We wrote memorandums. We gave testimony to the January 6th committee. The Secretary of Defense did, the Chief of Staff of the Army did, Chairman Milley did. We wanted the public to know how the Department of Defense acted on that day and before it. And so we talked about that in the committee. And they were mostly cordial. And it wasn't I don't want to say they were attacking me the whole time. But what I lost faith in a little bit was the select committee on January 6th spent 5 hours interrogating me on matters that had nothing to do with January 6th. Afghanistan, Somalia, Baghdadi, conversations with President Trump about other operations. And then I asked them, I entered into evidence our DOD memorandum that showed from Mayor Bowser's writing and the Capitol Police's writing as to our request for National Guard, whether they wanted them, and they turned us down. I wanted that record to be out there because we, as the Department of Defense, are in charge of the National Guard. That was our mission. And 2 days before January 6th, President Trump authorized the Guard. That's step A under the law. But we can't just deploy them. We have to go to the leadership and government of the town or state, the District of Columbia, and they have to request it from us. And they turned it down. They said, at this time, we do not need those troops here. And I wanted the January 6th committee to hear that. But we didn't focus too much on that. And that was the one takeaway I had that I thought that's unfortunate, because I think there should be a bipartisan investigation into what happened there. You
support the committee. Sorry, Vince. I support the idea.
I support the idea of a bipartisan committee doing a bipartisan investigation.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
No, that's fair.
But this is not what that is, because in this case, the Republicans that were offered to the committee were turned down by Nancy Pelosi, and in the end, only Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney were put on the committee because Pelosi chose that.
Doesn't that make it bipartisan?
No, it doesn't, because it excluded the leadership of the Republican Party from being able to dictate who was actually going to be a member of that committee.
Well, I mean, when I say like having run a congressional investigation, that's bipartisan. Each side should get to pick who they want on a committee. That's, to me, that's just like basic fair play. But what I found in this instance from the start, as I let off, I was willing to go in and testify. I didn't need a United States Marshal to show up at my house.
Right.
With a subpoena in hand. I didn't need the Washington Post to call me in the middle of the night before I was ever informed I was subpoenaed about being asked to testify. I was the first one out of anyone else in America. I was the first one. And they didn't call me and say, hey, do you want to testify? We know who you are. We know how to get you. I would gladly have come in. But they went the subpoena route because they wanted the headline.
So a marshal showed up at your door with a subpoena?
At my home. With a subpoena. And I don't blame them. They're just doing their job. It's just the way the committee went about it